Hello and welcome back to Sports for Dummies. Yes, Sports for Dummies is back. Johnny has been taking steroids. As you can see here, looks like he's put on about 50 kilos of pure muscle. Look at his face, everyone. And I don't know what is going on with my getup. Couldn't tell you. It's not light out. It's dark outside. I've got the sunnies on and I'm a proud Bombers supporter. Johnny, how good are the Bombers going right now?
Do you know what is hilarious about all this? So before, and I think it was the last podcast we've done about a month ago, Essendon were playing, they had Gold Coast, Carlton, a couple other sides, and I said on air that we're going to find out a lot about Essendon. Yep. Carlton were out of the 8. In that time, Carlton won 5 out of 6 and have gone to clear second.
Hold up.
Essendon,
no one cared about this.
This is my point. Essendon have won one game against a side who isn't even in the 8, so that string continues.
Hold up.
Every test.
Hold the fuck
You failed
up.
every test, and now somehow Essendon as fucking fans
You lost to
playing
GWS.
So
Who are
what?
frauds?
So what?
Who are frauds?
My point is,
And Sydney.
You lost to Carlton. You
And
lost to Gold Coast. You lost to an old, slow, no Geelong. You beat up Collingwood side.
Hold up.
Now,
How many
good
people
win
go
for
up?
you.
How many people go up to Gold Coast and beat Gold Coast at Gold Coast?
I don't know,
Because
we
Gold
haven't
Coast
played
can win
My
at
point
anywhere
is,
other than their fucking
I'm making
home.
a point that you won one game and Carlton just lost their last one out of 6, have gone to clear second, and Essendon are this amazing fucking side. Very good win though. You needed that.
The thing is this. Carlton should be there.
Let's get into
they
the games.
should be. No, I'm pissed. Essendon, you know what? No, because everyone kept saying that we hadn't bet a top 8 side, yet we bet GWS when they were on top.
Yeah, but you haven't beaten anyone in the top 8 now. It's a flawed. No, it's a flawed. It's an absolutely flawed thing. You have definitely beaten sides in the top 8 at the time, but it's at the end of each round. You go through it and you haven't beaten anyone.
You've made a valid point. In regards to the AFL, though, the league is wide open. I think back when
super wide open.
And for those who are wondering why, we did take a break. We needed this break. It was a great break. As I said, John's decided to get on the steroid use.
Keep saying I'm on steroids. I'm not.
You're on steroids. Don't lie. Don't lie to the camera, John. I see you.
The camera adds 10 pounds.
No, but it was much needed. And thank you for those who are sticking with us. We're going to jump into the round. We're at round 17 now. Holy shit. That has gone quick.
Yeah, we are. So it was round 17 last week, so we're round 18 now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That
we've
was
just done round 17.
Doing the review of round 17 in the AFL.
Let's get into it.
If we're a bit rusty, just give us some
we
break.
don't have any questions or whatnot, but we will have that by next week. We're just getting back into it. All right, I'm going to pose a question. Collingwood, Essendon. I'm actually going to pose it for myself.
Okay.
The question would have been, I would have got you to ask me, is Zach Merritt finally, do I rate him as an A-plus player?
Yeah, well, I want your. So anyone who hasn't heard, Johnny was big saying he was a B-plus player as of last year. He was nowhere near being an A-grade footballer. And I actually personally agreed. Now he's definitely an A+. Where do you have him?
So, and I think when I said B+, we had to change the criteria as in, yes, he's a genuine A-grader. Is he that A+ top echelon player? I didn't think he was. And even though he's had a super year, up until that Gold Coast game, he hadn't shown me that he can do what Cripps does, what Bont does, what Dacos does, really rip the game apart. And against Gold Coast, you saw in the second half, Rao looked him dead in the eye twice and just took him out. Chinchota shut him down against a good side. He wasn't. I felt like sort of like Essendon was for a little bit. He was getting found out, and people were exploiting him. Well, after Collingwood went on that run, when you guys were doing nothing as a side,
We were down for the majority of the game.
Well, Zach Merritt, after that little burst they had in the first quarter, was a one-man band.
Yeah.
He just hit, and it was as simple, he just hit his targets. He took the game on. It was the best performance I've ever seen him play, as not as in like possession-wise or whatnot, Your season's on the line. You drop in a game to Collingwood, your season starts to get a little bit shaky. He took it on against a very good side on the biggest stage. He's an A+ for me. Go Zach Merritt.
Ah, beautiful. I'm glad, and it is good to see his defensive efforts have been incredible. Those 1%ers, did you see the amount of times he ran from player to player, from literally to try and get to the ball user. If he didn't have it, he would create space. He would actually be, his defensive efforts are huge. He's also hitting the scoreboard, which you said that
he needed
was
to
one
do.
thing that he needed to do, and he's starting to really ramp it up. So
It was good. It was good to see the Bombers. I thought Harrison Jones playing as a wing, sliding up forward, took a couple of big grabs. Caldwell's been really impressive for you guys.
Peter Wright, I don't know.
2 meter Peter.
He must. I reckon he had the first 3 quarters were absolutely shit.
Yep.
Like shit.
And what
like
did he do in the last?
He did all right.
Yeah.
But the first 3 were horrible.
That's all right. It's okay. But how did he go in the last?
What did he kick? A goal?
Kicked a goal. Needed that.
Yes, I get it. But all I'm saying is he kicked a goal.
I
And he
thought
fucking...
I thought
There
we
were so many times that he could have hit an easy handball.
I thought we were prepping the Bombers up. If we want to insult the Bombers, let's just go. There's a month of material that I can use. This isn't about pumping the Bombers up. I fucking hate it because your supporters are terrible, and I actually supported you for 2 hours of my fucking life, and I copped it all from all of you. You win your one game in 2 months, and I'm the one copping shit.
Listen, Carlton lost. Collingwood lost. Richmond lost. Top 4. But the big 4 teams in the AFL. And then you got Essendon. It
was a good win. I thought Langford was really good for you. He's that one touch, especially early. Caddy's, I think you found a little player there. Kicked a few behinds, but he'll be better. Mackay, after a slow month, was absolutely huge, using his height and size. Took a lot of intercept marks as well, which really let Ridley do what he was wanting. And what it was good to see, he was a big signing a few years ago, and I'm glad Carlton didn't get him just for salary cap reasons and whatnot. He hasn't been the player he was at GWS. Dylan Shield, he was fantastic, and he led the game for tackles.
Yeah.
It was just good to see him. He's the best junior footballer. I played in the same league as him. He's the best junior footballer that I ever saw by a street. He really struggled to be the number 1 man when he came over to the Bombers. He was really good at GWS, but he was sort of like the 4th midfielder, so he didn't play on anyone. He's really struggled.
A good comeback.
I thought his defensive efforts were absolutely fantastic.
He got a lot of the ball too.
He got a lot of the ball too.
26 disposals.
26 touches. No, he was good. There was a lot to like about Essendon, and though Collingwood are not in the 8 now, they very much were. And it was a good... After a month that you guys have really underperformed... With being clear second, you really have to win that game against a
good team that normally of the
defending champs,
and they're the specialists at coming back and winning games that are very close. So
they almost fucking snuck it through. They just kept kicking a goal at the end of the end, just like with no hype about it either. I'm like, wait, is it only 2 goals now?
Look, they did come back, but they were leading. The one thing that I really was excited, and this is, I think, the game plan in coming back to what Essendon were doing when they were second, that 3rd quarter, straight after the halftime, we would come out and just absolutely fire away. Mm-hmm. And we did that. We blitzed. We drew back. We were down by, I think, just over 20 or something, and we really pulled it back. And then we actually started to lead. And that's where I think that difference in momentum, the belief in the players, and just seeing the way we were using the ball. And like you said, those 1% of defensive efforts that Collingwood looked very slow compared to us, which is really not characteristic for a team like that.
Well, let's go on to the Collingwood thing. So they were 5 goals to 1 up. Crisp had one of the best 5 minutes I've seen.
3 goals in.
And he was bullying you guys. It was just, what can he do? But I feel like the Collingwood, and I'm not using injuries because a lot of sides have had it. Carlton had it for the first half of the year. Collingwood have been gutted by injuries though this year, and it feels like it's ruining their continuity. My check goes off again. DeGoey's struggling to find, get back to his best football. Pendlebury's, he's just coming back in the side too. They're really having Nathan Murphy, who's been gone the whole year, is really exposed more on a lot of occasions. They have a lot of players who are in their first year playing, and they've got a lot of older sides as well. Nick Dacos, I thought, was really good for 2-3 quarters, and he was in positions in that last quarter, but but geez, the pressure was on him, and normally he takes those chances,
He loves
and
it.
he was very, very bit fumbly, a couple of bad actions. Collingwood out of the 8. It's interesting.
I think everyone was happy. I think every AFL fan. You know what was weird though? I was speaking with a few people, and for the first time, I feel like last year a lot of people who didn't like Collingwood actually wanted them to win the granny. You wouldn't have wanted to because you were a Carlton supporter and you were in the
didn't want them to
prelim.
win.
But when they got to the granny, it was like,
You
well,
just
I
you
wanted,
don't
you did want them to win.
I don't mind their brand of football. I thought it's very exciting. I think this year they've lost a bit of the edge. Teams have figured them out more.
Oh, it's fantastic to see that they're not killing it.
The game is played in phases, so it's never one side just really dominates the game. It's what can you do when you have possession, and when then the other side gets a run on. How do you mitigate that? And I think Collingwood are always in close games, but they're not maximising as well as when they've got the ball, and then they're not defending as well the other way. And that comes down to injuries, continuity with the side. It's interesting. I mean, they're out of the 8, but this round,
There's nothing. Yeah, there's so much more to uncover.
It's so open in the air.
Well, it brings us to the next game, which we had North Melbourne play the Suns and ultimately the Frauds. North Melbourne took the win, 87-83. I'm going to pose a question to you, Johnny.
Yep.
Are you happy with your prediction on the Suns?
As in, like, as a
From the
total,
start of the
as
year.
a total, yes. Yes, this is exactly, they are absolute frauds. And I'm glad actually Damien Hardwick, I didn't have to say anything. He pretty much said, grow the fuck up, guys.
He dropped an F-bomb on him.
We do this every single fucking year. Every year, the Gold Coast have good talent. They have good this. They have not won a game where they've been the away side this year. And it's epitomised that they beat Collingwood last week. They smacked Geelong, yet they've lost to North Melbourne.
Which we were deeming to be the worst.
Which North
team
Melbourne
in
are the
in
worst
league.
side in league history. It's disgraceful
Well, not
side.
anymore.
How can you... Well, they're actually off the bottom.
No. Richmond,
what's
Richmond
bad?
the worst side in the AFL
Do you, know
ever.
do you know what's bad for North? They have the worst years every year, and they're
they
not
get
making the
fished.
fifth. Yeah, and they're missing out on picks because they keep beating the fucking Suns.
Fucking start taking, guys.
There's something mentally right. There's something mentally wrong, and this is why I can always predict the Suns. It's not. I mean, you can look closely at the list. How good are these players? They're very good here. They're not very good here. This is a complete mental thing. It's something the culture.
Yeah.
Where I don't know what it is, but it's blind. Freddie can see it.
Do they get on the plane and go, oh fuck, boys?
Well, Damien Hardwick didn't like Marvel Stadium when he was at Richmond, like 2 meters away. Now he's whinging about it now.
Yeah, but Gold Coast aren't going to bring the fan squad to play an MCG game, are they? Like you're going to play your Marvel.
They don't make the game Marvel either.
That's what,
There would have been
my
like
point.
6 people on the weekend.
That's my point.
Yeah, the true North Melbourne supporters and the 3 Gold Coast Suns. They're fast. They're an absolute fast. And they'll probably come out when we go at the end of the round. They'll probably win on the next week and, win at home. But they're not playing finals. And if they make finals, you know it's going to be shit. Because whether they play whoever finishes 5th, Carlton, Fremantle, Essendon, Geelong, whatever, they're going to have to travel and they're going to get absolutely destroyed. They're a farce and they're frauds. Move on. And good work, North. Good work, North. 2 games since we've been off, they've won 2 games. And they could have beaten Melbourne and Collingwood.
Look, they're only a point down, but it's good. It's good to see they've done something different. They've shifted gears.
They've got a good young brigade, don't they?
Yeah, and they're starting to come through, mate. And the
David
belief now.
Uzenaki, Sheasel's playing forward of the ball, not just getting cheap free kicks down back. Wardlaw, McKercher, he's a jet too. So you got 4 or 5 real core players
Larky's a
there.
gun up forward.
Paul Curtis, he's a little gold snake. I've already always really rated him high. They got Cobb down back. They've got a bit. I think they need to go for a key backman.
Oh, definitely.
It's Cherry or Zeri, however you want to say it. He's
With
been
the
good
necks,
for them in the
yeah,
ruck.
what I'm
What was that? Actually, don't draw attention to that. Doesn't matter, guys.
What? I don't get it.
Exactly. Move along. Good win for them. They're winning some games of football. They've all of a sudden, there's more hope about them than West Coast.
Yeah, well, they're on form. They're a lot better.
Well, at least they're all young. West Coast and Richmond are both aging, have a lot of old.
This is an exciting thing for North and Hawks. Like, Hawks and North are actually very young teams. Hawks rebuilding is going incredible.
No, I can't wait till we get onto them.
Sons of frauds, that's what we've discovered. When are we doing premiership?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because we did throw a lot of people in the drink that I don't think should be there now.
There's a couple of reasons and there's a couple of people who've been exposed.
We've got the fishing rods out. We've had to throw them out, I reckon. That brings us to Port and Doggies. I really didn't see this one happening. Power 102 to the Doggies 54. Now, I understand it was in Adelaide. Power are good at home. But gee, like Rosie, they had Francis Horn, however you say his name, Wines, they just turned it on. They played incredible football. Dogs, though, they're like the yo-yo of the AFL because they can be so good, but then they can be so shit. Johnny, you're thinking about this. What's your input? Because I know you've been huge and very opinionated. Yeah, on both of them. We've actually arguably Port and they're both the yo-yos. In terms of but in terms of positioning though, Port, I mean, they're fifth. Are they fifth or sixth on the ladder? Or have they dropped right out?
And they've won their last two.
Yeah.
So Port Adelaide and the Dogs are the sides for for an extended period of time have been thereabouts.
Yep.
And they get overrated as fuck. And I've never thought them as grand final sides. I know the Dogs won in 2016. They made a grand final in 2021. Port have made a couple of prelims. There was always something missing. Now, you had two sides, sort of similar. The coaches have been there for a long time. Yep. It was a matter of heart. It was sort of a matter of heart, which who wanted it more? Because Port Adelaide, did you see when they beat St Kilda, Ken Hinkley choke up because of the pressure he copped?
Yeah. When he
croaked up, he's like, just good boys.
Yeah.
I'm like, they want him there. And Bevo had just come out.
And it wasn't a smacking or anything. They only just won. Which looks better now. But they only won at Marvel and they only just beaten Saints.
But they were under pressure. They'd just been slaughtered on their 20th anniversary of their grand final to Brisbane. They got slaughtered. And people like Hinkley, you've been there too long. It's been 10 years. What have you actually done for us? You had Bevo who came out in defence of Cody Wankman. People calling him a coward, and he fucking on 360 went, shut the fuck up. So you had two teams sort of in similar things, and Port just exposed them on their home deck. And they are very similar sides. They've got great midfield talent, but they have holes in key positions. Port Adelaide's forward line is a joke. Charlie Dixon at his best is a B grade player. Todd Marshall's okay. Is he someone you can build your forward line around? Rioli's pretty good. Their back line is very suspect. Radaglia, worst one-on-one defender. He's easy to beat. Thatcher is a really good player, undersized. Alia, great interceptor, can't play one-on-one. Big holes. Bulldogs, we've said it before, their forward line just does not function. And they've got players in and out and whatnot. Ugle-Hagen, you think he's going to dominate, and then he's almost about to dominate. Their backline since I've been alive, 20 years, has never been good. And the Doggies, their midfield, everyone, and I'm going to cop it for this, and rightfully so. Bontempelli is one of the best players in the world. Absolutely is. Treloar is great at racking it up. Those guys do not fucking defend. They never have. They never do. And the AFL, this is what annoys me. So after they beat Freo, Freo's still above them on the ladder. Everyone was saying Freo were Jekyll and Hyde. And everyone's like, the Dogs, the profile, the premiership window, the stats and this. They fool you every year.
Every round at the moment.
Every year. No. This isn't a just today problem. This is always. They're always like this. There was like this. 2021, yes, they did well, 2021. But even then, they were 4 goals up in a grand final, lost by fucking 70 points. And then they won 2016 and had to do the biggest fucking comeback of all time.
It was the biggest Hail Mary.
It was the biggest Hail Mary either. But since then, they've never finished, apart from 2020, never ever finished top 4. They get sold because they look aesthetically pleasing, which they do. And they've got some good young players. Darcy, West, really good. Ugelhagen. It's just something missing about them. They don't defend. Their key positions got holes, just like Port. That's a bad loss, though.
Oh, that's a huge loss. I thought I actually had Doggies winning this.
I went for Port just because it was more faith. I had less faith in the Dogs than Port Adelaide. It wasn't that I thought Port... Because Port aren't even that dominant at home at the moment.
No.
Brisbane beat them by 80 points. They should have lost to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Dogs are frauds.
Everyone's fraud.
Everyone's a fraud.
Who do you think is a fraud? Please chuck your comments down below. Then that brings us to Geelong v Hawks. Cats getting it done 1-1-0 to the Hawks 59. I didn't get to watch this game. It
was good.
Being honest. Was it a good game?
I mean, from a Geelong supporter, yes, it was. I think Geelong, they've been under pressure. I mean, 7 in a row exposed. And really, I guess after the Carlton game, losing by 10 goals, it was like, all right, where is Geelong at? Hawkins, obviously, he did his hammy, was barely getting a kick. Their midfield was just absolutely disgraceful for 7 weeks there, and it was easy to take them out. They had their issues with their rucks, Conway, Stanley. But Geelong have against the Bombers, made the changes. They threw, they've got one Dangerfield back. He's just a ball, isn't he? He's just an absolute beast of a man. And Tom Hawkins is you know my thoughts on Buddy and how much I love Buddy. The best thing that happened to Sydney was Buddy retiring. Yeah. The best thing that's happened to Geelong now is Hawkins getting injured. And Hawkins deserves to retire when he wants to because he's one of the best players I've seen. He's past it though. And now you see Geelong's forward line open up. I mean, Jeremy Cameron I'll get to that. They've got Dangerfield back in the midfield. They've put Tom Stewart, who's been tagged for 2 months, who's been shut down by everybody, really struggling. They put him in the midfield, so you got this big body midfielder. So you got two. Imagine now you got Dangerfield and Stewart in the fucking contest. Yeah, and they're two players that when they have the ball, they use it so well. They're strong as well. Like they're just bulls. They brought in Sean Manor, who had fucking 17 tackles in the VFL, a mature age who's always been good. He came in and absolutely has had an impact. Humphries just came in as good well, and they've put Sam DeConning in the ruck. Now, they did that against Carlton and he was bullied, but it showed, hey, if he can do it, why can't he? And Sam's been a lot of... It's true. He's been out of form with confidence. Gives him an identity. Yeah. He's going after the footy. Lot to love. Jeremy Cameron not playing in the wing. Bring him forward. He kicked 4 points, but he kicked 4 points in 5 minutes. Ended up with 3 or 4 for the game. Geelong look like they're starting to click back into here. Well, they won really 7 in a row at the start, and they've really died off since. So, I mean, they're back. They're fifth on the ladder. The league's too close. And then you've got... I feel bad that we've just landed on Hawthorn because they've been sensational. And I've got every game... What was the take on their performance? Did they look fatigued or just Geelong were a better side overall on the day? I think, and I don't want people to say I don't believe in Hawthorn because someone said that to me. I'm like, I've literally tipped them every game. I've got them right or wrong. I think Hawthorn there's a lot of spirit about them. That money ball forward line with sort of a lot of great, like Shoal, Bruce, Skinny, Gunston back, Hardwick sometimes going forward. Yep. Day has been fantastic. Sicily's been huge for them. Well, he wasn't playing on the weekend. That was massive for them. That's a massive loss. I think... So when people say, oh, you're not believing in Hawthorn, no. I think I rate them correctly. They also play a lot of games against interstate sides in Tassie, which benefits them that nobody gets to play there. Yeah. It's not even, it's almost harder to go to there than interstate sides to go to the MCG because at least there's some exposure there. You go on fucking Tassie. And I think it does help them. Yeah. And they've always been playing your Brisbane's, your Adelaide's at the MCG or Tassie. I think they went down to Geelong against a good side and were showed, hang on, we've improved, but we've still got a bit to go. So I've loved what Hawthorn's done. They were just beaten by a better side, and we're getting closer to finals. And we got to see, okay, and if you're Hawthorn, do not be disappointed, and they would be, but you're doing well.
They shouldn't be disheartened considering where they were at the start of this year.
Yeah.
And they've really opened themselves up to actually being contenders and being able to make the finals if they really have a good rush home.
Well, at least they're shaping it, and you don't want to blame them.
No, they're the team. Like if Bombers, I'll be honest, if Bombers came up against them, we were 5th and they were 8th, I'd be fucking shitting my dacks. It'd be at the G, I'd be actually shitting my dacks. Anyway, I don't like the Bombers getting a second. I hope they have a second chance at a final. Otherwise, I'm a bit worried. This is a beautiful game.
This is the weirdest
Do you remember the message I sent?
This is the weirdest game of all time. I'm going to speak about this subjectively.
Yeah. I mean, Giants v Carlton. Obviously, it's really hard to see the Carlton logo because it's pretty dark and navy. Giants won 1-6 to the Blues 1-0-4. Now, Johnny, Carlton were up 8 goals in the first quarter.
It was the most typical Carlton thing.
But this game had its ebbs and flows because you guys were so far ahead, then they got so far ahead, and then you brought it right back. It was almost like halftime was there was only halftime and full time, which were the only like close kind of points of reference. Outside of that, it was like ping pong, ping pong.
I was telling you that the game works in phases here. So for half a footy, we outscored the Giants by 9 goals in half of that game. You think you do that to a side, you think you win. So let's go through this. I'm going to try and be as objective as possible because I was not objective on the day. It was very sad. We destroyed them in that first quarter. Mackay kicked 3 in 3 minutes. Williams kicked 3 in 3 minutes. They couldn't fucking touch the ball. The Giants have been shit for 6 weeks. And, mate, it was... And we've just won our last 5 as well.
Yep.
We've beaten everyone but Sydney in the top 8 and top 4. We were just going through everyone. And it was 51-12 and we turned it over and they kicked a goal. And then I've talked about it before and I thought Carlton got better at this. I've told you we went through how many times Carlton have been 4 goals up under the Voss era. And it was 13 times that we were 4 goals up plus.
Yep.
Half of those times are actually 6-7 goals up. And we either won by less than a kick or lost the game. Well, this is time number 14 now.
Yeah, right.
14 now. And what Carlton have been good in the last 5 weeks is, like I was saying, it's how do you maximise your score when you got momentum, and then how do you minimise it when you don't. Carlton have been number 1 for that. Well, we went back to the old. It was kind of like watching the Brisbane prelim, where how can you be so good and yet so bad within 5 minutes? I'm going to give credit to the
GWS because they were so quick.
That was the tsunami. And they didn't have Taylor, Kelly. You had Jones, who was an absolute star for them. I thought Callum Ward played the best game he's played.
Is Jones the guy with the helmet?
The helmet.
Yeah, mate. He stood out he stood out because he had a helmet.
But I tell you, so people are asking me, who does Carlton tag? Who does Chinchotta tag? Because he's shut everybody down in the last... But he's found his role.
Yeah.
Shut down Merritt, Stewart, Butters. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to bring something up here. I wanted us to shut Toby Green down. And the reason being is because I reckon he's lost a bit of spark.
Well, he's doing his own characteristics. He's back to hitting players again. He hit one of your players again. He's getting pissed off. He's getting frustrated. And you can see that when he's not in his good state. But then, he kicked 2 pretty good goals.
Well, it's okay. So this is where he kicked 2 goals when we were 6 goals up. That brought it back to that 3 or 4 goal margin. And then from there, it was too late.
Yeah.
Because they just went bang. I think it was 13 goals in a row. And what they did was what Carlton normally do when we're struggling. We normally throw Curnow down back. Jesse Hogan went down back, took a couple of 2 good grabs down back. He was absolutely fucking awesome. Between the second and the third quarter, he kicked 5 goals. He was outmarking everyone. And he had a couple of grabs that weren't even paid.
And well, there was one that I didn't think he should have got paid, where he kicked the guy in the back and pushed off him and just fucking blocked it. And I thought that was a bit. I did think that should have been a free, but
so disposals. Green was back to his best football, 33. Whitfield had 30. Callum Ward hasn't played this good since he was at the fucking Bulldogs. Brent Daniels 29 touches. I don't think he's ever had that many touches before. Iden 24. Callahan was absolute superstar. DeConning got a real football lesson here. Briggs monstered him.
Well, he's
and
a big
DeConning's been, in terms of fantasy points, has been the number one ruckman in the league. This is where Pitt as that backup would have been good. We're not going to throw the baby out of the water. It was just too easy, Josh. It really looked bad. And they got out to 40 points.
Yeah.
And then
you guys turned it back on.
We turned it back on. And
Kerno was your letdown.
Well, so he did his ankle before the game. So because his defensive effort that's normally not good anyway, but it was
non-existent.
It was like watching Fev in the early 2000s, who was awesome, but if he didn't get the ball, he ain't fucking running. I've never seen more players from fullback kick goals. And then on Brendan Mavoa. And we didn't play Owies. We had him as a sub. Why?
Yeah, didn't get that.
He's kicked the most goals in our side under the Voss era, other than the two Twin Towers. Hewitt, who is just that defensive midfielder.
You would have loved Fantasia being put in for Owies.
Fantasia kicked 4 goals last week against a shit Richmond side, and
he keeps his spot.
May as well give him captaincy. I think we lost it at the selection board. Owies should never be sub. Hewitt goes back in the side. I think Cottrell's came in a bit underdone. He goes out. Motlop killed it in the twos. He's got to come right back into the side.
Yeah.
My concern with Carlton, which I thought we got of, which was I think the most disappointing. Giants were fighting for their life up there. If it's a to and throw game, you take a loss.
Yeah.
It was the fact that they kicked 12, 13 goals.
They kicked away.
And we actually looked pathetic.
Yeah. They made you guys look, it was a training drill. And then you guys decided, I'm going to turn it on. And it was like, what happened?
Which we had
because you already had that at the start.
Correct. And we have done this before. And that's why the last 5 weeks were pleasing, because when sides would get the run, we'd mitigate it. So, so after that game, I was really fucking down. But then the results for the rest of the week sort of made me feel a little bit better. We regrouped, couple of selections there. GWS have just put themselves right back in the fucking mould, though.
I don't know if they're right back in.
Well, they're back in the A.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't... that
football was what they were paying for the first 5 games. Remember, they were undefeated up until round 5, and they made a prelim last year. I'm not saying they're contenders or anything. I'm saying they're back in the fold. They're fucking back on deck, mate.
You can't put them up so high. No.
What do you mean, no?
They're frauds. Makes Carlton's loss look worse.
Next game.
No, I do think that
they're just back in the pack. Is what I'm saying. Is now they're a dangerous side again.
You wouldn't want to play them. You don't want to play. You know what? It's weird because there's teams that are so far out of the 8 that aren't going to be in the 8 that are beating top 4 teams, and it's like you don't want to play against. You don't want to play Saints. Saints at Marvel. Port and Sydney. They've just proved, hey, we can keep teams.
So that's why I was saying I was very dark after that performance, but then after a couple of other performances, I'm like, okay, it's not doom and gloom. Take the loss. It just shows. Well, one good thing that I'm happy with Carlton is last time we had a reality check was against Sydney. We won 5 in a row. Yeah. I'd rather this happen now. And at the end of the day,
you've won 5, and you were the most informed team.
We're in the and that's that goes to Brisbane
anymore,
now. But we'll go to a team that is informed for the next game.
We had Freo v Tigers just subtly on Saturday night. The other game that was playing.
I didn't even know there was another game.
105 to the Tigers 54, getting the job done over in WA.
Now no one really and no offense to Richmond, they're not really relevant at the moment.
Bottom of the ladder,
but.
They're frauds.
Fremantle. Well, I think Richmond exactly where we
actually predicted
bottom 3. I didn't think they'd finish last.
Yeah, I didn't think they were worse than North or West Coast, but Harley Reid unravelled, and then what happened with you can't. North Melbourne have just decided to change the leaf.
We'll talk about a side that's in form and is going under the radar, and they'd be liking this. As I said, fucking did anyone even know this game was on? Fremantle, after their loss to the Dogs, have quietly they beat an informed Gold Coast.
Yep.
Easily. They beat Sydney in Sydney, and they've just put this side to bed. The emergence of Josh Tracy this year, but really in the last month, has changed the whole dynamic to this Fremantle side. We knew they had a good back line. Luke Ryan, Pearce is out, but Luke Ryan, Pearce have been awesome. Run from Clark. I think Cox has been good in that mitigation. But now they've got Amos and Tracy, Swatowski, Frederick, and Young just looking absolutely fantastic. Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson are actually starting to work really well, which is good. Sarong's awesome. Brayshaw's awesome. I think O'Meara is playing as a role player some of his best football. This Freo side that is strangling sides is actually starting to kick scores now.
Yeah, that was their only issue.
Do you have the last few games up?
I do.
Freo what have they scoring?
Well, obviously they scored 105 against Richmond. They scored 99 to 98 against the Swans. You had 85 to 65 the Suns, so it's a lower scoring contest. I don't know.
But they're getting higher every week, and then they verse the Bulldogs.
The one real, so they kicked 141 against Demons at the G.
Well, so that was so at that point, and sorry that we have just reverted because we haven't been here for a month. We're sort of recapping, just sort of as a dialogue as well. So we're generally not going to go 4 or 5 weeks back, but it's just given our take. That was when, one, it was more where the fuck's Melbourne at. And then I guess what was why, rightfully so, people were wondering where Freo were. They then went and got flogged by the Bulldogs. Yeah. And then it was like, I didn't think it was too bad. I expected it not to get flogged, but it was as that Eddie had it. I don't think Freo are that great at home. But then they went and changed it all. Well, they beat the Suns, who are in good form, and then they beat the Swans, and
that put the
and yes, people talked to me on them this week. This side is perfectly positioned for themselves.
What do you mean by that?
Well, no one's talking about them. Everyone's talking about Carlton. Everyone's talking about Sydney. Essendon's now, but after this win, rightfully so, Geelong are back into it. They're not sexy. Yeah. They're not.
They're just getting the wins.
They're just getting the wins. I would not want to play Fremantle.
Oh, not a chance. I mean, after their, they squeeze sides and they've got the capabilities. They've got a good list.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see.
They've got a strong back line which gets bolstered when Pearce comes in. Their midfield's good. Their forward line was suspect, but Tracy and Amos are working as a good like a prong attack. Yeah. And that ruck problem is sort of fixed because Jackson's playing well up forward, does his thing. Darcy's good as the number one. Yep. Freo looking all right.
All right, that brings us to the next game we had, which was the Demons and the Eagles. So this was a Sunday day game. Just nothing fancy about this one.
I'm not really going to talk about the actual game because it really was who gave a shit. I'm going to give more a snapshot where the sides are.
Yep. So we had Demons 112 to the Eagles 58. And now in the context, I mean, Melbourne needed this.
Melbourne have won they've won 2 of their last 3 and they just lost to Brisbane. The addition of Lever back in the side. Well, okay, let's go back. They got smacked by Freo.
Yep.
And then they had probably one of their worst moments in their club history since they were shit. I'm talking a few years back. They didn't respond to Collingwood, and then the Petrarca incident. Yeah. Oliver's copping a beating in the media. So Petrarca's gone. Pressure on their off season. Melbourne are frauds. This side that was supposed to be a dynasty. They've done a couple of good. They've done a couple of little.
They also
good
lost
things.
Brayshaw.
Well, that was that. At the start of the year, but it was just. It looked like this club was going to implode.
Yeah, you had old mate, like you said, Oliver with his little issues going on. Yeah, it's. You know what? It's not such a bad thing. But I mean, they're 10th on the ladder.
No, they're still not. They're still
because they were in the top. I mean, they were top 4. at one stage.
So they've definitely come back. I think they've just a couple of things are starting to. They only just beat North. They just lost to Brizzy, which was admirable. I just feel like they're changing it a little bit. Yeah. They can still shape this 8.
They can definitely get into the
because they still have the players that on their day they can do it. And then West Coast, which they were the flavour of the month. Fuck, they're disappointing. How does Adam Simpson keep getting in coaching gigs?
So since we stopped, I think they won like 3 games, or they had won 3 in a row. West Coast.
They haven't done shit since we stopped filming.
So maybe we're helping them out.
It's because you and the AFL cronies were Harley Reid. Oh, Harley Reid, we love Harley Reid.
Someone please, if you're watching, just snip that little glimpse of John. That was too good. Oh, there's a blooper in that. Melbourne, look, they're a team that...
Will I get my own hot toys?
Well, that's also been in the media. It's such an open league. I mean, obviously Eagles aren't going to be there. You know, we thought maybe they were going to have a run like Hawthorn did. They really didn't come out and do anything other than win a few games. And Harley Reid, he's really been shown, yes, he's a star. It's all about the money for him and where he's going to go next, if he's going to stay at the Eagles or if he's going to move.
Do you reckon he'll go?
Oh, that's the media talk now. It's not a matter of if he's going to stay. It's just a matter of
it's 16.
How much money can he get somewhere else at home?
It's amazing this guy averages 16 touches and they're going to give him
who else did that?
Multi-million
Who else did that as a gun? Juddy, his first year.
Yeah, but Juddy was impactful and they went from second last to making the 8.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with this. I understand he's an impactful player, but he also had Dean Cox. He had Ben Cousins. They
finished second last the year before.
I'm not denoting.
This side's got worse.
They suck. Wait, where were they on the ladder? I thought they were dead last year.
Where are they now?
16th. They're improving, mate.
They're 16th. Do you remember what 16th was last?
But wait. Is St Kilda 15th? Would they move up? They would have moved up.
We'll check the ladder.
We're going to check. I've got the ladder for everyone, but
anyway, Adam Simpson has to go.
In summary, fire your coach.
Last game.
Is it the last one? No, second last.
Oh.
It's been too long, hasn't it? There we go. We had the Saints and the Swans. Massive upset. Huge upset. Saints 84 to the Swans 82. What happened? What happened?
I think...
Because I know that Swans are up.
Well, Swans are beatable. And Logan cannot kick a fucking... You just don't want to give him the set shot. That's 2 weeks in a row. He got closer this time. He actually made the distance.
Let me just say, Papley's banana in the second quarter.
Well, he kicks that. They go 5 goals up at halftime, and me and you looked at each other and were like, well, this is done. I'm going to the gym. I think this says more... and this is what would annoy me being a St Kilda supporter.
Yeah.
Because they made the finals last year... And then they beat Collingwood early in this year. They were up at halftime against your mob, and it sort of changed after that.
We heard their
sort of fucked their confidence, yeah?
Yeah, their confidence went completely down. And imagine being a Saints supporter. You would have been sitting there going, fuck, we're 5 goals down halftime, what's going to happen? What
But they were shy. So Saints were... Even though, so the thing on them, that had really low scorings, but they were starting to get they beat West Coast and whatnot. Not great sides.
Yeah.
And then the AFL were giving shit to Ross because it wasn't a sexy brand of footy. They then scored 100 against Brisbane.
Yep.
But they also gave up 130. And I was like, well, hang on, you were at least winning a couple of games before. Feel like we've got the happy medium now. Side that can score but still has the defensive pressure. And because you still got blokes like Wanganeen Malira, Jack Steele's back in it. Sinclair was average for 80s. Wilkie last year was fucking All-Australian. Philippou was huge. Absolutely stayed healed. So you got... This St Kilda side have quality ball users.
Play your own brand, Saints.
Correct.
Every time they're playing, if you go look at the season, look at their close games, even the ones that they lost, like Port Adelaide, they lost by 2 points. It was a very, very low scoring affair. Play your own brand. Don't fucking listen to the media and what's a sexy game of football. You don't have a sexy list, so you're not going to be able to play like a sexy list. So play your brand of footy, Saints. It wins and you're going to beat the top team, well, fuck, there's not many out there that can do it. There's only 3 teams that have done it so far this year. Simples. Fuck.
What is your...
Seriously, every other team...
Do you think what this has shown, though, is Sydney are not invincible anymore?
Well, I think there was a stat out, and I shouldn't quote it, but I think they've definitely been found out in certain aspects of their game.
Yeah.
I forget what it was, but they were pretty much almost bottom 8 in a lot of what they were first in at the start of the year when they were dominating. They're now really dropping off in. And I should know what that was.
And I get it's a long
3 points.
It's a long season. Remember, they started real well, and remember they dropped up towards their first bye.
Yeah.
And they had that shock loss to Richmond. They won 10 in a row.
Yeah.
So this, I think, might be their little adjustment period. I expect Sydney to come back full of gumption. We're not going to... I mean,
they're travelling. They've been travelling the last
2 clear games.
They've travelled... Out of the last 6 games, they've travelled 4 times. So I can understand that maybe they're a bit fatigued. Yes, they had their own game against Freo and they lost. That was a surprise. And to be honest, I was kind of hoping that Papley would have kicked that goal. You're going for a fucking torp, mate, not a drop punt from 55 fucking metres out.
What's big, though? Isaac Heaney. Rubbed out.
Why?
Hitting the dude.
Oh, he hit someone.
Yeah.
Good on him.
So that could be Brownlow. They could really shape it up.
Oh, Merritt's got it. I'll tell you why.
Because have nobody
Sydney,
else.
No. Okay, you keep saying Cripps.
Yes, Cripps.
For the last 6 weeks of you guys
Absolutely.
winning.
Well, he's leading a lot of awards at the moment.
Okay. Who can take points away from Cripps in Carlton, though? Would you say that there's been players in that team that have done pretty well throughout the game? Because I can guarantee you...
No. I agree with you on the merit thing. There's no one else.
Only person is Stringer, but Stringer gets 4 goals and 12 touches.
And they're always no. I'm with you that Merit's going to be hard to beat. I think Cripps is sort of in a similar boat though.
Yeah,
like watching the game, he's very dynamic.
And there's no actually now I think about it, I'm like Walsh was out for a period of time.
But it changes the whole thing. Like him, him not
Goulden,
in it.
Warner, they're still in contention.
And then adds Grundy. When he's had a few best ons.
Yeah, very true.
So
but they take points away from each other. That's the thing that I look at the Swans. It's going to be hard for whoever is dominating at the Swans because one game, it's hard if they've got the best player. You can tell that Cripps is the best in your team. Walsh isn't consistent enough at the moment to be like Cripps at the minute. Merritt's definitely killing it for us, regardless of what Durham and the players around him, Shield coming in, and regardless, they're going to help the team now. And Shield hasn't had enough games under his belt, but he's not going to take any points away from him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So even Stringer, our wingmen don't do enough. So it's like, I just think Merritt's going to be easier.
I'd actually say, Merritt. Probably from that argument, he's got the best chance to do it. I guess it's the last 4 games before this one. Obviously, when you had a fair few losses, he's not going to vote a lot of them. But you can almost put it to the bank if you guys win.
Well, Martin didn't take any points away from him, I reckon.
Well, you got to look at Essendon a third, fourth. You got to look at it every time Essendon win. You think 80-90% of the time he's getting 3 votes.
90%, yeah. So that's what I reckon. And if they can win, look, we're coming up against Melbourne this week. Anyway, we'll go into the thing after the last game. That was Brisbane Lions and the Crows. The Lions got the win at home, 97-86. Now the Lions have really shaped up and changed where they were at, Johnny. They were absolutely out and about. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of speculation around why the Lions weren't that actually going that well. A nice little Vegas trip. That has completely, ruined their culture. But they're back on track and their players are starting to play well. I mean, they've won the last 5.
They're the informed side.
The most informed team. They're now back in the 8, so they've moved back up. They're
first time of the whole year.
Yep, first time. And look, it's interesting. I mean, they have the ability. I would love to see what their next, 6 or 7 games in total, it's 6 games, have for them because wouldn't surprise me if they even try and creep into the top 4.
Well, we can discuss that, but I guess the big thing for me that I've seen for Brisbane is not so much this week. This was actually positive. Their big forwards, I think they were averaging like 3 or 4 goals less up until, a certain point about a month ago. Hipwood and Danaher really turned it on. Cameron was probably the only one who wasn't, but they were starting to kick bigger goals. Those guys didn't kick. I think they only kicked 3 between them, that's an even better side now that they can win without those players.
Yeah.
They're just playing with that style that we know. I think they've gotten used to the injuries and they're just going for it. Do I think they can win it? No, because they're still going to have to play at the MCG, but they are going to fucking just show everyone. And then you got Adelaide on the other hand, who are just one of the most disappointing sides of the league. Rankin, who's come back from being injured, who's played some great football. He's out for a month for taking someone out. So not a lot of love about Adelaide.
Well, they're the disappointment for the year. They're the genuine disappointment for the year.
Them and St Kilda.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think they're both 15th and 14th. But we're going to let's run through the ladder.
Let's go through the ladder,
bring
Josh.
that up
Bring
for
it
everyone.
up for the people.
Just going to quickly go through. So you've got Sydney sitting pretty clear. They're actually 2 games. 8 points. Quick math. Yep. 2 games ahead. You got Carlton, Blue Baggers in second. Freo just comfortably sitting third. No one's really talking about them.
Flying right under the radar. And remember where we had them when we did our preview of them? And we copped so much hate. Again, we apologise. We have apologised before.
Pretty certain. Yeah, we apologise. Still don't see them win the flag. So I don't see. So
You just couldn't give them their moment.
I couldn't. I'm sorry. They've
What about
got
the
their
Bombers?
moment. Look, see, I don't think the Bombers will win a flag. Like, I do not see us winning a flag. I just love us to win the first final.
Well, that was your pass.
750
Your
billion
pass.
years.
Your pass mark all year was to win one final.
That's it. That's a pass mark for Essendon.
Well, I think it was for me just to make the finals as like me watching the games, but I think as Essendon as a whole, especially since you've been in the top 4 for the last month or 6 weeks, you have to win a final.
Yeah.
It's non-negotiable.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting who these teams play because it's going to shape a lot of the 8 again this next round. And then you got Geelong in 5th, Port 6th, just a weird 6th place team. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Brisbane now have entered the 8th and they're in 7th. And then you've got GWS
They're back
in
in
8th. Now, Collingwood's out of the 8. They're in 9th. Then you've got Melbourne, the Doggies, Suns, Hawthorn, St Kilda, Adelaide Crows, West Coast, North, and then Richmond.
I really think,
spoon.
and I really think, and I think the Dogs can still. Actually, I will say Gold Coast can influence the top 8 because they are very hard to beat at home. So I really think they're the sides. I think up till 12th are going to shape it.
It's interesting because, let's go through the fixture.
Who have we got?
Yeah, let's bring that up because it's actually going to be really interesting. I've just looked at who some of the teams have, and it looks like a lot of the top teams have a lot of the bottom teams, which is not going to be great. So we've actually got a really good round of football. So you got Collingwood versus Geelong on
It's
Friday
going to be huge.
night
You got
footy.
the Pies fighting for their life.
Yep.
Geelong have got back to some form.
9th plays 5th on the ladder. So huge game. Collingwood win. They go back in the 8, and it would help out the top 4 sides if Geelong don't win. Then you have this is an interesting one.
Yep.
Hawthorn plays Freo now on the ladder. You look at that. That's 13th plays 3rd.
Where are they playing?
They're playing at the G. Oh wait, no.
No, they're playing in
Tassie. My
Tassie.
bad.
That is
That's a huge game.
This is those minute games where Freo and Adelaide and GWS, they don't play there.
No.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be even colder than Melbourne. That is a massive danger game. And we'll do it in the preview.
And then we've got Sydney plays North.
Okay, so this should be slaughtering.
And that's at Sydney.
Look,
So
North are giving it a crack.
imagine if they won. Just really throw a curveball.
Just fuck with everything.
Just screw the whole system. Then you got the Doggies and Carlton. That's at Marvel 11th plays 2nd. Are you worried about that game at all?
Yes. For the first time in the last few weeks, I've been confident in Carlton, and every time I get confident, we go down. I actually like it when I'm nervous about us. I am nervous now. The Dogs have a few outs, and we'll address in the preview. We should win this on paper, but the Dogs, like the Giants, are fighting for their life on their home deck. We should win, but I'm glad I'm nervous for this game.
Yeah, well, look, if they win, it puts them right back in contention,
Correct.
and they could almost go up to.
And then it really makes our top 4 spot shaky. Very shaky.
Not what you want.
Not what I want.
Then we got the Crows plays the Saints. That's actually a great game.
The battle of the
15th and
disappointments.
14th. Yep, battle of the disappointments. The shit plays the shit. Then you got Melbourne plays Essendon. That's a
big
huge game.
I think this is a huge game. Sort of like the Bulldogs-Carlton game. Sort of Melbourne are fighting for their life.
It's good. The odds look good for Essendon. I actually didn't think they would have been that good.
Well, look, Melbourne, Essendon, and Dogs and Carlton are pretty much the same odds. And I reckon they're very well. You got two sides out of the 8 that can shape it on their day, can win.
Yep.
Against sides that have had no success. We're getting to those points. Do they get a bit nervous?
You know what? It's actually kind of cool looking at that and seeing Carlton second, Essendon fourth. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought it?
You know what's funny? I remember when we sat here with Harley in Richmond. Where did we place Richmond? Do we all place them like pretty crap?
No, we had them bottom 4.
We had them bottom 4?
Yeah. No, we knew
Like
Melbourne.
Richmond have always had like...
Richmond we had because they're an ageing list. And unfortunately for Richmond, not only they're ageing, all those players were just wiped out after round 3. So it was, Richmond had no hope. So they don't cop the shit.
No. Well,
That
they
the
knew
other
that it was coming.
sides you knew it was coming. This is their thing. It's what do they do in the next few years?
However, all my Richmond mates kept saying to me, that is the wrong prediction. You are so incorrect. And I literally think I sent them a message like on Monday. Was it? No, it's Tuesday today. Is it? No, it's Monday. Holy shit. The days are going wrong. They're going too quick. I literally sent them a message last night saying, you guys are frauds. You all suck. And I completely called it. Anyway, sorry, Harley, if you're watching. Then you got the Suns play Port Adelaide.
That's a good game.
And that is at People's First Stadium, which is Metricon, up in the Gold Coast.
So that all of a sudden, Gold Coast are like 4th on the list. They're a 4. Like at home, they're a top 4 side. That becomes an interesting game.
They're winning that. That's actually a comfortable win for them. That's just a smoke.
Hey!
That's a
Jesus.
No, that is for them. All right.
Next.
We've got, that's saying she's too much. Richmond plays the Giants.
Giants win that one. Yeah, that's fine.
That makes sense. Then we have West Coast Eagles play Brisbane. Now that's over in Optus Stadium.
So 6-7 weeks ago, with how Brisbane were playing,
but this should be a smoky.
Yeah, this really an easy one.
So there's going to be 3 easy games that you could call out of the 6, and you'd think that there's probably 6 maybes.
There's still
plenty of footy
there's
in them.
still a lot to happen there. So big round of football, and we've got 7 weeks to go. So this is huge.
It's very exciting, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I actually forget the outro, but I think it was like, subscribe, and
Ring the fucking bell.
see you guys in the next one.